So I remember RFK from the early 2000s. Like that's when I was first introduced to him, and he was a big environmental guy. That was his thing. He was all into, trying to take care of the environment. It wasn't until very recently, well, maybe 10, 12 years ago, where his vaccine denial shit started becoming a big deal. And you got to be careful talking about this topic on YouTube because I got a strike against me on YouTube channel a couple months ago, very early. I got it out of the way quick, but it was because I had a video making fun of vaccine deniers, and they gave me a content strike for spreading conspiracy of that shit. So you got to be careful on everything. But there was this instance in American Samoa like 10 years ago or something. And he was in charge of this organization that told people that, hey, vaccines are bad and all that stuff. And there was this accident at a hospital where they had some, I think, expired vaccines that they were giving babies, and 2 babies in American Samoa died. And so he used this opportunity to send in his goons to like spread the word that, vaccines will kill your babies. And like dozens of American Samoan babies died that year because they didn't get the proper vaccine. So yeah, the guy is a menace. Like he's actually a lot of trouble. And that's why he has so much support from right wingers. And this is what I remember a long time ago, John, we were talking about who is he going to draw from, Republicans or Democrats? And I always thought it was Republicans because like he's always on Republican media, he's talking this shit all the time. And we finally have evidence. And I forgot her name. I wrote it down, but it's like,
it was like Rita or something.
Rita Palma.
What was it?
Rita Palma. Rita Palma.
Thank you. Rita Palma. Yeah, Rita Palma was a staffer for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and she spoke these words.
No. Okay, good. Things, I guess, will change over time because you do have to only pick one candidate at the end of the day. But the Kennedy voter and the Trump voter, the enemy, our mutual enemy is Biden. Since Biden is counting on us with Bobby in the mix, my thought is for the Republicans. See, Bobby right now, he's pulling from both sides. Right now, he's actually pulling a little bit more from Biden, which explains why the DNC is kind of ganging up on him. They have a special committee to go after independent candidates. Yeah, they say independent candidates, like non-affiliated candidates, they really mean Bobby, because Bobby's the only third party that anybody's taking seriously. So they developed a committee just to go after him and to get him off of the ballot in any way they can. Especially, it seems as though they're going after the battleground states more than the deep blue states. Bobby's moving the blues on his own. If the Republicans accepted the fact that New York, Maryland, Chicago, Illinois, California, New Jersey, Connecticut, most of the Northeast is going to go blue, why wouldn't we put our vote to Bobby and at least get rid of Biden and get those 28 electoral votes in New York? The card's a little wrong. It says 26 electoral votes. Give those 28 electoral votes to Bobby rather than to Biden, thereby reducing Biden's 270. And we all know how that works, right? 270 wins the election. If you don't get to 270, if nobody gets to 270, then Congress picks the president. So who are they going to pick? Who are they going to pick? If it's a Republican Congress, they'll pick Trump. So we're rid of Biden either way. Does everybody follow that? Okay. There's no
I love
Biden.
the guy that says, yay. That's my favorite part. That guy was really into it.
Before we get into the actual, I just have to say, why was that recorded on a camcorder from 2006?
Oh, yeah.
That was the most confusing part of the whole thing.
That's true. It did seem like an old video. You're right. It did seem the quality was awful. But all right, so I have a lot to say about this. First, big fucking surprise that, that RFK's staffers are just... By the way, they fired her this morning. I saw that they got rid of her and everything. No, I'm sure it was because, she's completely misrepresenting the RFK campaign. That's not what he's going for at all. Not because, she blew wide up what their actual plan was. But the thing I want to talk about is first... how incredibly familiar her tone was. Like, yeah, we're gonna vote for Bobby, like they're friends or something like that. I was like, damn, that's awful close companionship there. And then what she said about independent candidates, I don't know what data she's looking at, because all the data that I saw showed that RFK was taking more from Republicans. Like every now and then you'd see something where, especially early on when he was still listed as a Democrat, But ever since then, the poll's been for Trump, and you can tell because Donald Trump is always out there attacking RFK. Like if he really believed that RFK was going to drain votes away from Biden, he would be hyping this guy at every possible opportunity. And then one thing she said is the incredible solipsism of this statement, where she says, "Well, they're afraid of Bobby, and that's why the Democrats have set up this team to go against independent candidates." And he's the only one who's like, "No, that's not why they set that up. They set that up to go after progressive. Like that's why the Democrats set up a team to go after independents
right.
and yeah, they've been doing this for a long time. Like you guys are Johnny come latelys of this shit. They have been going after the left flank of the Democrats and people who don't fall in line with the party for decades now. So that's not news to us." But
yeah, Bernie knows.
Bernie knows all too well. Exactly. Thank you. An actual literal independent. But yeah, so what were your guys' thoughts upon seeing this? Like you were shocked, I'm sure. Like you had to pick yourselves off the floor hearing this news.
I mean, the most shocking thing is just the incredible bluntness of this staffer. And I do wonder, a lot of times when like a campaign or a company or something denies like, oh, this person wasn't really involved or whatever, because that's what the RFK campaign is doing, is they fired her and they're like, oh, she misrepresented her job title, and she isn't really involved in strategy or whatever, doesn't represent. Now, usually I have that. Usually I'm just, oh yeah, of course you're lying. I actually kind of believe him a little bit, because even a Trump campaign staffer isn't that incompetent to just in front of all of those people. And that was an obvious like recording from the campaign. Like that wasn't like someone on their cell phone. That was a set up camera on a tripod that was recording this. Like she released this.
Yeah.
And like that's the most insane part to me, that like she would say these words publicly, purposely record them and share them. Is just insane to think that like she is doing the right thing. And like to me, someone that incompetent, they might actually just be fucking lying and was never really involved. Like I do kind of buy it, because that is the worst campaign staffer in the entire history of campaign staff. If that's actually like real.
Right.
Well, sorry, Ryan. So you're saying that she wasn't actually a campaign staffer? Because
no, she was a campaign staffer, but like I kind of sort of believe the RFK campaign when they say that, oh, she was just like doing administrative, like signing.
She was a ballot access consultant.
Yeah, like she wasn't like involved in the RFK campaign strategy in New York. And the way she, like, you kind of feel like, oh, maybe she just kind of got a little power hungry. You realize she had the microphone and started saying how she really feels, even though there's no actual credence to what she's saying. Now, am I saying that what she's saying is wrong? No, but I do think there's a grain of truth to that. That was totally lone wolf behavior. I don't know. What do you think, Ryan?
The thing I think is interesting is that she pointed to a PowerPoint. That's the part that's interesting to me, is that this feels very, it feels very planned. And from, I mean, I'm sure TJ, you can reflect on things like this too, but like from working on campaigns, my own campaign, working with local Democrats, local level Democrats work like this. Like I will never ever forget like I'm in Buffalo, New York, and I'm sure you guys saw, because it made national news a couple of years ago, for running for mayor in Buffalo, there was a registered Democratic Socialist that was running, and she beat the incumbent in the primary. The Republicans never run anybody because they always lose, but they don't, and I'll explain why they actually don't lose in a second. But he was flabbergasted. His gasted was flabbered, because he hasn't lost in over a decade. He never thought that he would ever lose, but he didn't realize how much younger and how much more progressive Buffalo had become in this time. He ran a successful write-in campaign that ended up coming back and winning in like almost a landslide, because Republicans voted for him. The Republican Party gave millions of dollars to help this man's campaign. And so you have to sit back and you wonder, well, who does he work for? Like the DNC, the Democrats of New York, they didn't give him any more money, but the Republicans of New York did give him much more money. And Republicans have been doing this exact everything that she just said. I'm like, that is the strategy. They try to get rid of the more progressive candidate by running these other candidates under that, or trying to primary them to split votes and do different things like that. But Republicans pay for the entire thing the whole time. They are running like these things. So it's not at the local level. It isn't a conspiracy. It's just like how Republicans have been doing a lot of their local elections lately for the last, I'll say 15, 20 years. Slowly ramping up. That's how we get Marjorie Taylor Greene's, is because Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't just come out of nowhere. They come up in politics and then they surround themselves by that. And then you go, well, I mean, I guess, she's been around for a while. They're just around for a while, but they come up with these small, like, local elections. So hearing her say this is the strategy. Like you said, John, yep, it probably is the strategy. She just probably should have said it out loud in front of a camera and then put it online. But that's probably exactly what they are. What their plan is to, because I think to me, if he would have ran as a Republican, I wouldn't have been surprised. I think RFK Jr. is pretty far right with a lot of its stances.
He is, but he's a Kennedy, and so I mean I get why he ran as a Democrat, because he used to be a Democrat, and he was also known for his environmental stuff. But over the last decade and a half or so, he has drifted to the right, as a lot of people have, unfortunately. And there's more money over there. But like his original plan was to siphon away votes as a Democrat, and he just wasn't getting enough traction on there. And that's why Trump didn't start attacking you until he was independent. But man, Ryan, I am so upset that we invited you on the show today, because I had blocked India Walton out of my mind. Like that whole story. That was so Do you guys remember how exciting that was when she won that primary? We're like, hey, all right, we are moving up finally. I mean, like you said, we thought it was in the bag. It's like, Republicans not going to win this. And then sure as shit, the old guy, a write-in campaign, man, like that was a dark time.
He did a write-in campaign. It was the most money anybody's ever spent on a write-in campaign in like mayoral history in New York. It was something like crazy. It was millions and millions and millions of dollars, and he raised it basically overnight. And it's because the Republicans gave it to him. Like and again, not a conspiracy theory.
No,
the mailers and leaflets, because they have to announce who it was. It was paid by the Republicans of New York. Paid for by the Republican Party of New York is doing this. At a certain point, as a Democrat, you got to sit back and go, wait a second. Why did they agree with the guy? I know why I agree with the guy, but they agree with him they gotta agree with him for a different reason. And yeah, it was a crushing thing to India, and they pulled out every dirty, gross Republican trick you could think of. They did to her. They towed her car, they found parking tickets. Yeah. So yeah, it's funny talking to friends around the nation, because there was a lot of things that happened that were just local news stories that just never really got out. Yeah, they towed her car because they found a parking ticket from like 4 years ago that she didn't pay parking tickets, and ran this story that she was been stealing from the city, not paying her parking tickets. And you know who pays for that? The taxpayers. They're the ones paying it at the end of the day. And it's like, you guys booted her car like a week before the election. What kind of, come on. Like,
typical socialist, just siphoning off taxpayer fund, $78 at a time.
It's a two-tier justice system, TJ.
Witch hunt. Which I love that shit.
Yeah, I mean they had for her protection, right? Because she was a high profile candidate. That's why the cops kept following her to work and sat outside of her job. It wasn't intimidation. That's rude of you to even bring it up, TJ. It wasn't intimidation. They sat outside of her house for 2 weeks because they were keeping her safe, and flexing on her friends. They didn't know who they were. So,
yeah, of course. You know what's really bad about this shit is that right wingers. So the reason that we have people like RFK and Joe Rogan and the people who just fall for every wild conspiracy possible is something we talk about a lot. Is that Americans and less so the rich guys, but your average person who follows these conspiracies, that they're smart enough to realize they're getting effed over. They realize something's not right. They know that, there are powerful people who are screwing them at every turn, but they're not informed enough to figure out exactly how it's happened or how it's happening. And so they just connect these dots that have no business being connected. And the unfortunate reality is that, like you were talking about how it's not a conspiracy. The cops are just following you. It's not a conspiracy. You have an unpaid parking ticket. Is that real life conspiracies are usually pretty goddamn boring. They're pretty mundane
Right.
shit. That they just use like we don't need to build like this idea of an Illuminati, of this like powerful group of rich people who are controlling things behind the scenes. No, it's the powerful rich people who are controlling things out in public, who tell you what they're doing. Like, you don't need to like craft this wild Charlie Day conspiracy shit. It's right there in front of you. It's real, but not in the way they think it is. And I don't know. It's a lot less fun though. It's a lot less fun. Like if you're a QAnon person and you got, your bingo card of the solar eclipse and the earthquakes and everything and the red heifers in Israel. Oh, you're having the time of your life. But we're up here saying that, yeah, there's like 6 companies that own the media. Get the fuck out of here. Get that boring ass shit. Like give me the fun stuff. Like I see why folks like RFK are popular, because they feed into this narrative that, an unfortunately undereducated populace will just, eat up in a heartbeat.
Yep.
Good shit. RFK is always a fun guy to talk. I remember the first time I heard RFK, it was on the radio. I was listening to like the Sean Hannity show or something, and I heard him talk, and it was. I was like, "Whoa, what the fuck is wrong with this guy?"
It is the worst voice.
It's a terrible. Yeah,
he makes Louis Armstrong's speaking voice sound like it's like a bed of roses.
Well, Louis Armstrong sounds cool though.
Well, he sounds cool singing, but like he sounds cool singing. But if you hear Louis Armstrong talk, it's just like, oh, this is a weird like speaking voice, But it's like if Louis Armstrong was just raked over hot coals, and that's what he sounds like.
I used to always make fun of him until I realized, like last year, that his voice sounds that way because he had like cancer or something. He had like some weird disease. I didn't know that. I was
Oh no.
Yeah, I know, right? Politics is the art of identifying convenient enemies. Ideas like capitalism, powerful class like bankers and capitalists are not. Yes, well, I think they are convenient, but it's just not fun. Like it's not fun. Like that's why Republicans are like, go watch a Trump rally sometime. They've got fun hats. They've got, they're barbecuing hot dogs. They're singing songs. Like they are having the time of their fucking lives out there. And I get it. I get it. They got Ted Nugent singing some 40-year-old rock song they all grew up on. So I can kind of understand. It's like and this is why republicanism or conservatism works, is that it's very simple. It's like, where they talk about it's basic biology. There's only 2 genders. Like, what are you guys talking about? Or this is Econ 101. Like, and you're like, yeah, it is Econ 101, but
there's a reason why there's more class.
Yes. It's like, teach this shit to 18-year-olds who don't know what the fuck is going on. Try Econ 201 sometimes and then get back to me or whatever. Yeah. It's like they kind of give the game away with that shit all the time, because I don't know. That's the part that actually gets me the most about Republicans, is that it's not so much that they're unequipped with the gray matter to handle this. They're just not interested in it. They're just not interested in learning, and they're proud of that. How many times have you heard conservatives talk about how college is a scam? School is just there to turn you into a Marxist and some shit. It's like, no, you actually learn stuff. That's kind of important too, but they like being dumb. They enjoy it. It's their own fault.
Yeah, they like living in this fantasy world where anything is possible and the world is your oyster and you can do whatever you would like to, because somehow lizard people are going to be in a pizza shop and they're doing this. That's why all of their stuff sounds like sci-fi movies, and like all of their conspiracies are like these almost heroic acts where they have to be the hero of this. And I remember talking to somebody and like kind of dissecting like the Republican mindset, you know, like why would they attack people, or why would they do attack people outside of Planned Parenthoods and things like that. And I explained to my friend at the time, I was like, if you truly believed, like with all of your heart, you truly believe this, you will not let rationality or like any evidence dissuade your opinion. You truly believe that inside those walls, somebody is eating children, and you alone can stop them. I'm like, you would go in and do it. That's how these people think. They think that they are the superhero. They are. I was gonna say Ray, but they're not Ray. They don't believe in Ray. They probably only think it's they're Luke and and Anakin, because he didn't do anything wrong. And just quick sidebar: how did Mark Hamill end up being like an actual villain? Like, what's going on with this guy? I'm sorry.
I can't remember.
That was one of the most disappointing ones. Oh my god!
I think it was Leah that told us that we were talking about. I think she was mentioned. She's like, "Did you hear Mark Hamill supports the IDF?" It's like, no, we were heartbroken. We're like, how did this happen? Because his takes are generally good. And then we talk about how he's old, and like, if you're 75 years old, I mean, it's honestly weird. He's as cool as.
Okay. I just watched. I'm sorry. Quick aside. I just watched Avatar: The Last Airbender. I just watched Avatar: The Last Airbender for the first time ever because I had a stunted childhood, I guess. And I was like, so wait a second. Are we the Fire Nation? It was like that sound on TikTok. It's like, is this play about us? And it's like, are we the Fire Nation? Is Israel the Fire Nation? I think they might be. And then you realize that like the leader of the Fire Nation is voiced by Mark Hamill, and I'm like, I think he's been telling us the whole time.
Oh, that's so sad, man. That's so sad. Like, you either die a hero or
I guess so.
I do like that. Go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say, but these people think that they're their own Luke Skywalker, so that's why they want to stay uninformed, not to even just be dumb or like it's because their utopia gets blown up if you add facts to it, because the world is way more simple and less interesting than a Hollywood blockbuster, and that's what they want to live in.
It's kind of like, well, before I go that, I like the idea that they're Anakin Skywalker. It's kind of perfect. It's kind of perfect if you think about it, because they're whiny, they're bitching, they're entitled to everything, and they're given all of the luxuries in life, and they're still not happy. And no problem with genocide. Just no problem with it at all. It's like, yeah, if I need to commit a genocide or two, I'm going to be perfectly fine with it. And so, not taking proper care of their kids, contacting them when they're old, and trying to set up a friendship with them. Like, yeah, it's kind of perfect. Like that they're Anakin.
Weird belief in genetic lines of power.
Yes. We've talked about this before, that the U.S. is the empire. Like it's kind of.
That one's explicit. That one's explicit.
And I was like, well, I guess the explicit interpretation is that they're the Germans in World War II because they have the uniforms and shit.
George
no. They're supposed to be America.
They're called stormtroopers. They have SS. So I'm saying, like, the presentation is there, but it's hard to like say, oh yeah, this is definitely the United States here, And so. And
Wait, I pop up the other thing that narrator said. There is no genocide. I say there is no
genocide.
There is no war in Bossing. I say that all the fucking time. Like, it's just like a comment.
I
Like,
get it
whenever.
now.
Did you know though? Did you know that line is not spoken with the smiley? Like, the smiley girl never says there is no war in Bossing. Like, the girl you're thinking of in the meme right now, she does not say that line. And because I tried to find the clip of it to like put in a video and spend hours searching for it. And I watched the episode and it's like, she never says that. That's just fucking.
She does not. She does not say it.
But TJ, go ahead, Ryan.
Well, I was gonna say, just quick. The Fire Nation is also like said to be canonically supposed to be like post World War I or whatever, the United States or yeah, it's supposed to be. It's actually supposed to be the United States's like what the worst case scenario of the United States becoming what it was, like, because we did have all this like prosperity and finances and the war ended up being good for the Allies, and then you look back on it, it's like, but what if then they just went evil? It's kind of like, well, I mean,
that is a good point. Like,
we did a Korea and a Vietnam and a Desert Storm, and we were pretty evil.
We
after.
did have the opportunity to just like take it all over, and we didn't. So I guess it's a positive.
We were less evil than the Nazis. I mean, you got to hand it to us. Like, we were a little bit less evil. Like, we weren't quite that bad. So yeah, like, they could have been worse.
What a bar to just step right over. The bar is on the ground.
We, instead of taking over the world, we built rockets to the moon. We just had to, we did what we had to do.
All right, guys, that's our show. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for subscribing, because I'm sure you already did that, and I'm sure you also liked this too. You're a great listener, great viewer of The Left Wing. And if you are one of our amazing audience members that we respect very, very much, I am sure you loved our guest today and want to know where you can find him. So Ryan, how about you tell our audience where they can find you?
Yeah, you guys can find me basically everywhere under IDEF Overthink. That's IDEFF Overthink. So @ and think of a place except for X, and I'm probably there. That's the only one that I don't have.
Good choice.
Yeah.
Cool. Hey, everybody, I'm TJ Whitehead. Power is taken, not given. Now, I'm joining you from the fascist dictatorship of New Mexico. Please join the New Mexico National Guard Service Guarantees membership. I can't even get the line right. Service Guarantees Citizenship. Have a good night. We appreciate you all.
Oh, man.
All right, let's get out of here. All right.